He also showed that in many heads, including NAFLD, he described it so well as one of us was speaking. Thank you. And it also shows your involvement and despite your specialized areas. I'm also thankful to Dr. Pandit, who is professor in it. I wish we had the opportunity to meet in person. I also welcome the whole team and the faculty, the staff, the residents, and maybe other people connected on this webinar. I thank our colleagues, Dr. Kapil and all others for having made this possible. I bring greetings from ILBS. I was supposed to cover on the major topic of NAFLD, but Kapil asked me that, well, COVID is still rampant, and why don't you discuss something on impact of COVID on liver disease? This is an area which I think will broaden your horizon of NAFLD as well. Next, please. I have no conflict of interest except that we have very bright, good faculty. Next, please. And also very good residents across the country. Next. I would try and cover COVID-19 and liver injury and its spectrum on healthy and a diseased liver. Next, please. Everyone is aware by now. I just want to put it for record purposes that we are having a virus which is mutating very fast, and not only in its inner structure but also on the express proteins. So we will have a continuing challenge of diagnostics, of the vaccines, and of the lethality, and therefore COVID will remain a vibrant challenge, a difficult challenge for next at least 2 years. Next, please. Everyone knows that it comes through the nose and involves the lung and the upper respiratory tract and causes several complications. But other than lung, this can cause complications which are thromboembolic, cardiac, endocrine, of course, neurological, renal, and I'll just touch upon some of the hepatic and GI, that it continues to have diarrhea and GI symptoms, loss of appetite. So, what COVID does in a person who has a healthy liver versus what COVID does in a pre-existing liver disease patient. The complications can increase mortality, and therefore we have to understand whom to triage and how long to. The virus involves the lung. After lung, cytokines are released due to a damage by macrophages of the lung. And this releases several inflammatory cytokines and, in fact, can induce sepsis due to drugs, otherwise due to infection per se. For the liver and other organs, due to a lack of oxygen, you're like, oh, patient needs oxygen, but the effect of that hypoxia is just not on the lungs or brain, but it is to all organs, and a hypoxia to the liver itself can cause huge challenges. You give all the drugs, whether it is remdesivir or it is antibiotic or steroids, they all can, and since they are metabolized in the liver, can cause liver injury. The blood flow in the liver decreases, and there are microthrombi in the liver sinusoids. This is something which we have to understand, that liver of these patients remains unhealthy for quite some time. Of course, the virus can do direct damage to the biliary epithelium. It actually multiplies as much probably as in the lungs, in the biliary epithelium, but it is secreted. Generally doesn't cause, but it can in the mutant viruses. So there can be a multifactorial injury in an otherwise healthy liver. Next, please. So when you look at it from the lung, you have the virus which causes release of cytokines, hypoxia, congestions. These cells can cause liver injury, cytokines. The drugs can cause liver injury. You have several other problems. Next, please. So liver injury by and large is a bystander hepatitis. And I'll come and explain you sometimes what is a bystander. Next, please. And this is a direct cytopathic injury also. So let me explain what is a bystander hepatitis. For example, first time there is an injury due to the virus to the lungs. But once the antibodies are released against COVID or something, they will circulate and get settled into the liver. Now, next time, whenever there is a surge of the virus or there is a release, the liver sinusoids, which are having microthrombi, further injury will occur. And this is a bystander hepatitis. Liver is injured because it is holding on to the immune cells which were released from the lung. So it's a bystander. आप जा रहे हैं रास्ते में किसी ने मार दिया आपको. This is the kind of injury. Now I will try and cover this spectrum in a normal liver, where rarely can be an acute liver injury severe enough to cause acute liver failure. So in a person, this is a large series of about 1800, those who were non-severe COVID or those who were severe COVID. You will see that abnormal liver enzymes, AST or SGOT and SGPT, can be as high as in about 75 or 45% of the patient, more so than in non-severe. And this is from the day of admission. What will happen? In a severe patient, your liver enzymes can go high, not too high, but they can go high. And sometimes your enzymes can dip, but may take longer than 4 weeks to come down to normal. So if you have enzymes up to the limit of 3 or 4 times, let's say SGOT, PT are 150, 200, don't worry. But if they are above 200, it is a cause of worry, because COVID can reactivate several viruses like HSV and others, but also there may be an underlying NASH, underlying fatty liver. One can also, you never know, have hepatitis A or E. One needs to review the medications, especially giving antifungals. CPK must be done to rule out any myositis. We must stop hepatotoxic drugs, especially if bilirubin is more than 2 times and AST, ALT above 5 times. We must see that hypoxia, hypotension are corrected. Rarely liver biopsy may be needed. There is no specific treatment for acute liver injury. However, if you are taking patients for trials, let's say remdesivir trial, or you want to do any other antiviral trial, exclude patients with liver injury, because all drugs may go to liver. N-acetylcysteine may be of help. Now next please. Now I will just cover briefly about the fatty liver part. Next please. This is distinct from the one which is a normal liver, and as earlier said by speakers, that 1/3 of India, 1/3 of the world may have fatty liver, 1/4 to 1/3. So if you have such a high proportion, next please, people who have got fat in their liver, how will they behave with COVID? Next please. Now this is not liver disease, just fat in the liver. Next please. Now, globally, 24% of the general population has fatty liver. They can have NASH, that is hepatitis, developing as a result of fat in the liver, fibrosis, even cirrhosis, or you can have liver cancer. Now, if this is the situation, like the next century will be driven by fatty liver and its complications, we need to know what COVID will do to 1/4 of our population. Now, you have a situation where there is fat in the liver, and then there is a person who has got diabetes or he is overweight. Just remember a few weeks ago, there were a lot of TV debates and others that a Lancet publication said those who had a BMI about 23 or they are overweight about 25, these guys have more severe COVID. And I'll come back to this slide again, but I just want to show you that who are the people who would have fat in the liver? All diabetics, 13% of India. Overweight or obese, almost about another 15%. So total of 25 to 30% of them have metabolic dysfunction associated fatty liver disease. This is a new term for NAFLD. Just want to show you how this group, and then you have a group who is lean but has fat in the liver. Now let's look at this situation. You have somebody who is obese, but he may still be metabolically healthy. So every obese person is not metabolically unhealthy. However, even if you are normal weight, that is BMI is less than 23, you can be metabolically unhealthy. I'm not going into details. This is genetics. Your father, grandfather, mother, grandmother had a metabolic hypertension, diabetes, or something. So you may be normal weight, but still metabolically unhealthy. Next, please. Why is it important for us as far as COVID is concerned? The disease is more severe with a BMI above 23. And I'm not showing you data not to depress you, but COVID vaccines efficacy is 10 to 20% lower if you are having a metabolic dysfunction or a fatty liver. Next, please. What is fatty liver? Just briefly, liver normally has less than 5% fat. If it is more than 10%, then it is fatty liver. This is larger than the normal, whiter. This is the skin. You do an ultrasound. This is the skin. These are the white underlying fat. This is the kidney. This is the spleen. Normally, spleen and liver should have same color, brother and sister. But here the liver is whiter like the fat. So this is fatty liver. And a simple ultrasound or a fibroscan or similar investigation radiologically or otherwise can pick it up. Now, this is to show you a very important landmark paper which came as a letter, but I think is most cited. What is the effect of COVID? If age is above 60, yes, this is a comorbidity. Males more affected. BMI is more, it is affected. Any other comorbidity, hypertension, heart disease, kidney disease, yes, these are patients where COVID is more severe. But singularly, fatty liver disease is the maximum which contributes to a progressive disease after COVID infection. So please remember, presence of fat leads to excessive cytokine release from every organ, heart, lung. Why? Fat in the liver reflects fat in your muscle, fat in your heart, fat in your lungs. Therefore, this is a singular kind of a stethoscope to tell the pulse of every organ. Now, why is it so? First, the liver disease due to COVID. Liver has the largest number of macrophages. Macrophages carry iron. Your high ferritin is an indicator of severe COVID. This is released from Kupffer cells and macrophages. So largest number of macrophages lie in the liver. And then there is a excessive release of pro-inflammatory cytokines. And people who have fatty liver have an impaired innate immunity. So more of the inflammatory cytokines, lower immunity, and it's a progressive liver disease. So as said by Dr. Nagarkar, highlighted by him, the fatty liver is probably core to and opens windows to many other diseases like stroke, hypertension, heart disease, atherosclerosis, kidney diseases, polycystic ovary, and of course to diabetes. In fact, we believe diabetes is a liver disease. So first, there is fat in the liver, fatty cells, and insulin resistance. To enter into the hepatocyte, more and more insulin is produced. More and more is produced. Over a period of time, your pancreas gives up and you develop diabetes. It may not be as simple, but yes, it has a relevance. The Hoon study Archana mentioned is a very important study. In one line, I will mention if a 26-year-old boy has an SGPT or ALT of 80, his chance of first heart attack at 36 is 7 times higher than a general person who has an SGPT of 20. So at a wedding, at your marriage of your son or daughter or your brother sister, there is no point ki janam patri milaye. There is a point that is his SGPT normal. If his SGPT is 80 above, he is a high risk. How long will he continue? We don't know. Also remember, gallstone is a result of fatty liver. It's not a disease of gallbladder. Liver makes bad bile, thick bile, lithogenic bile, which gets deposited in the gallbladder. So if mother, father has gallbladder stone, get yourself checked. And if you have gallstone, the chances are 5 times. Your children may also have gallstone. With this background, I would like to mention fatty liver or core is a core of all metabolic diseases. In India, diabetes is in about 10%, fatty liver is in about 30%. It is the forerunner by about 10 years of development of diabetes. Now I'll come to chronic liver diseases. So if somebody has a pre-existing liver disease and gets COVID, what we termed as Asian Pacific COVID liver injury study, the EPCOLIS study, which is highly cited now and was done by 62 investigators from across Asia. Next, please. So if a person has no liver disease and gets COVID, maybe severe COVID is seen in about 12%, but a cirrhotic who is compensated 18%. But if the cirrhosis has ascites or has jaundice, 33%. So these people are more susceptible. The liver injury in those who are having already liver disease is almost 4 out of 5. And whether death can occur? Yes. Compared to 2% of the general population, and maybe even lower, this was the Wuhan data, cirrhosis with liver injury may be 20 times, 30 times more. Next, please. And if the person, what is we know as Child-Turcotte-Pugh score, which means patient has ascites, mild bilirubin is less than 3, but albumin is also around 3. If the patient is sick, then mortality within first 4 weeks can be high. So remember, cirrhotic coming to your emergency or being treated by physicians, medicine specialists like Dr. Pandit and others, please see that they are given equal, if not more, than diabetics and others. They are high risk patients. Next, please. This is the data after our study. These were subsequent studies. Now mortality, you can see that between the age groups, this is large European data, those who are between 70 and 79, compared cirrhotics have many times more. At any age group, even between 20 and 29 or at 80, cirrhotics have mortality which is several fold higher, 30% or so compared to other groups. And if you have child A, that is mild, B or C. So those who have child C disease, they have much higher mortality, and their ICU admissions are more. This is also to show you that the chances that they will have organ failures, this decompensation means those who did not have jaundice will develop jaundice. Those who did not have ascites will develop ascites. And this is the way they have reported that patients with different grades of liver disease will get further affected due to COVID. So how should we manage them? So there are some guidelines. Next, please. First, suppose somebody has chronic hepatitis B, just has hepatitis B positive, but his liver is all right, or he's just infected with hepatitis C, or has metabolic dysfunction associated fatty liver or cholestatic liver. All these patients can be in trouble because they would have more susceptibility to get the infection. Number two, that the disease can be more severe. And I think this is what is to be remembered. Can hepatitis be reactivation of hepatitis B? Not really. The virus will not increase. The injury due to COVID plus underlying hepatitis B can become a problem. Can we continue treatment for hepatitis B and C? Yes. Can we continue treatment for autoimmune? Yes. Can we continue treatment for fatty liver or cholestatic? Yes. Even if the person has a COVID infection, you may continue your treatment. Next, please. This is to show you some of the baseline data of ILBS, of survivors and non-survivors of cirrhosis. What I just want to show you, the jaundice is more in non-survivors. They have more of ascites, hepatic encephalopathy, respiration, kidney, and circulatory problem. Just to tell you that these patients can become severe. And what we know and call as acute on chronic liver failure. So this patient has, let us say, cirrhosis, but he got COVID, he will become now liver failure also. Next, please. Now, transplant recipients. This is a Asian registry, which is now much larger. This data is quite old. And this is to show you that patients who have been, sorry, this is a European registry. The transplant data shows that if the post-transplant patient gets COVID, there is a need for hospitalization, ICU admission with a high mortality compared to 2% in general, 22%. But is it higher than a cirrhotic? No, because these people have a new liver. They have a transplanted liver. So this liver can handle. Is the liver injury present in post-transplant? Almost same as in general population. Is it more severe? Yes. In a proportion, it is more severe. So compared to general population, liver transplant patients have more severe because they are immunosuppressed. So this part I will summarize. Liver injury is proportional to severity of COVID. Acute liver failure, very rarely. Acute and chronic liver failure, yes, almost twice. Obesity, fatty liver disease, such patients have worse outcome. If somebody has underlying cirrhosis or has comorbidities like obesity plus cirrhosis, alcohol plus cirrhosis, they can have a poor outcome in a severe COVID scenario. We can manage our patients. Post-transplant needs a referral, and there is a guidance now that all chronic liver disease with or without transplant should be vaccinated. Government of India has only given decompensated, but I think it needs to be modified that all chronic liver disease should have a vaccine. Now I'll briefly touch prevention remains crucial. Next, please. So liver remaining as the core. Should we do liver health checkup? It is an opportunity. COVID gives you everyone coming to your hospital for vaccination. Can you screen somebody and say, look, you need a liver checkup? Those who have comorbidities, those who have NAFLD, and have probably an underlying liver disease. This is the time to pick them up. Next, please. So first question is, whoever is listening or has an access, am I having a fatty liver? This can be even done at a village level by ASHA worker. Just ask the history of a family member or yourself. You are suffering from metabolic syndrome, blood pressure, cholesterol, triglyceride, diabetes, or heart or kidney disease. If someone also, as I said earlier, liver or disease or gallstones, any cancer, it is 1.5 to 2 times more common with fatty liver. Or somebody is just snoring. Remember that it is sleep apnea which is correlating with fatty liver. So in such patients, you can find out. If you are overweight, and a simple formula is height minus 100 for a male. 170 is your height, minus 100, your weight should be 70. For a female, height minus 105 should be your weight. Get an ultrasound of abdomen or a fibroscan if available. Simple ALT, lipids, and sugar. Next, please. So most important, and I would like this message through AIIMS Raipur, which controls a huge catchment area, such an important institute. Please just say, change your approach. Don't say fatty liver hai to kya hua, kuch nahi hota. Please change that approach of so what? Because liver fat should be now accepted as an alarm for rest of the body illnesses. Next, please. I would like you to join and guide us also in investing in liver health workforce. There is a 1-year online course available with us. We would request AIIMS Raipur to undertake, if possible, with the medicine or community medicine and other departments, large surveys on focused interventions. Can we make a difference in next 1 decade? By reducing fatty liver, we will reduce diabetes, we will reduce heart disease. Next, please. This is my last slide. Just most humbly, not because I work in liver area, but I would like you to be part of it. A healthy liver should lead to a healthy India. Thank you all.